So in this tutorial now, I'm just going to do the final next steps to what I think is actually pretty cool. So we've got that map. If we want to do another one, we can actually go up to in here, and we can go to the layout manager, and we can, as you can see, I've created another one. We can just duplicate this one, and when we duplicate it, so I mean, I'll do that. So say I want to duplicate, I'm going to remove that previous one I did, and then I'll just duplicate this one. And so this one I'm going to call it, Canberra inner city. So I do that, it comes up, it's rendering. You can see the scale there is the same. So what I can do here is I can change this to, I can say Canberra inner city. I can leave the rest of it because, as you'll see, what's nifty, I want you to look at this at the bottom here, this scale bar. So when I've got this map now, I'm just going to try 50,000 and see what happens. You see we get in there. So I want to get in closer to that. So I'm going to go to 100,000 and see what happens. No, I've gone back in again. Let's go to, 20,000. Okay, we're getting close. You see what happened to the scale bar there? So the scale bar has resized itself according to the relevant size that we're working at. You see its focus. Whoops, I've dragged the window there. Let's move that back up again. Let's go back in here and move it around the interior. See, that's also, I note that I didn't write the scale down before, which I should do actually. So the other map is not completely right. It's giving us a zoomed in picture. What happens if I go to 10,000? We can see that we're now getting into the space of where we're starting to show certain things, but I want the topography to be in there. So I'm actually going to go to 20,000. Back to 20,000. See what we're talking about. That gives me a bit of the topography, gives me Parliament House, gives me the main areas there. Now, as I said before, that scale is now at 2 kilometers. If I click in here, now how do I get those elements again? It's not, let's now click on these other elements if I can. Yeah, you see that's where it wants the units now. What if I want to do meters? I get meters, and it says, what's the units there for that? So that's handy. What if I want to put them? If I want to, where it says number format, I'm going to go back to that. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But I also now will want to actually put a scale on here. So I'm going to actually Control-C, Control-V, and I'm going to just change that so it's the scale. I'm going to say scale 1 to 3,000. And now I have that, I have that scale there as well. So I'm going to actually just move that across to there. Logically speaking, you'd probably put that, it's a bit not the most neat arrangement. So let's move it around a bit further until that seems to work for us. Yeah, I mean, I can play around more with that if I want to, to get those to work. Okay, so we've got a second drawing there. So what I want to do now is I'm going to save this. So I'm going to show you how to do something. So if I go to File, Export as SVG, gives you a message saying, oh, it's going to be disastrous. I actually tried it. It works pretty well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I'm going to put it back in this folder. Let's say 1 to 2, 1 to 20,000. You know, a 4 SVG, you know, save. Export map layers as SVG groups. I recommend this. Always export as vectors. Let's say that as well. I'm not sure how all these play. Crop to content. No, let's just leave it for the time being. We go save. It has to do a bit of a think. It's done it. So now I want to go into Illustrator. Now you're going to see it's going to churn a bit, but I'll do it because I want to show how it operates. So we'll go into Illustrator. We know it's a A4. What I'm going to actually do first is I'm just going to try something, which is that I'm actually going to try to drag and drop the file and see whether or not it will just open it. So let's have a look here. If I drag and drop that onto Illustrator, whether it will create a page. It does. Okay, so the thing that they talk about there is that it's not clipped to the content. But what I want you to note here, which is super exciting, looks like up the right here. Oh no, layers, just one layer. But when we get there, the thing to note here is that there are all the layers. So that means that we've kept the layer information there so that we can then select all of that layer and change its visual qualities according to what we want. We can trim it, and we can clip it, all the stuff you would do in Illustrator. What's really awesome is we've now got all the layers there. So in the QGIS side, if we arrange our layers right, and we'll talk in a separate tutorial about extracting from legends to get subcomponent layers, this is a really nice flow for us to be able to use to work easily between Illustrator and GIS. I'm sure you'll agree.